I am Gregory, and this is Pensane. On the table, we have the Faber-Castell Loom. And if you saw my post on the 1st of March, then you know that this is the pen of the month. So I'm experimenting. I'm not going to call it a challenge, but I'm experimenting with one pen mini inks. And I specifically chose this one because I'm completely unfamiliar with Faber-Castell fountain pens. And if I was going to take a deep dive into a single pen, I wanted it to be one that, first of all, I had no previous experience with, and then second of all, something that I wouldn't mind carrying to work with me every day. And this fit the bill. So I'm very, very pleased about that. It's an interesting design, which is right up my alley. Very, very straight lines, with the exception of this bulbous cap, but that's another feature I like in pens, is bulbous parts. Yeah, so it's just a very simple design. Ideally, I wouldn't have gone with the shiny chrome, but this was less expensive, shall we say. So I want to say these tend to go in the $50 range, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And I did get this in a broad nib. And you'll see there's already a different ink color in there once we talk about the first ink I used in it. But there's the nib. Nice broad nib. And we'll get more into that. Yeah, I love the design of this pen. I'm so pleased I went with this. I could totally see using this the entire month. First of all, the look of it feels durable. The cap is light. It's either all or mostly plastic. And yet it does feel durable. But the pen is metal and is fairly heavy. You do have a slick metal section, but it has these little ribs on it, which I think help. And one thing I really love about this pen is the diameter of the grip section is very, very comfortable for me. It's a little bit bigger than your average pen. So yeah, I love that about it. It does taper down quite a bit, but I don't feel a need to hold it super down low. So I'm pretty comfortable holding it more right there. Yeah. So I am enjoying this pen so far, but what was the first ink I used in it? Well, that would be Sheaffer Skrip Brown. So there's that. An interesting shaped bottle. Get a hint of the color there. This is my swatch card for it. I would say it's a red leaning brown, but actually it's almost more of a pink leaning brown. My initial impression when I first started writing with it in the loom was, I'm not sure. When I first put nib to paper, but it quickly grew on me. Yeah. Now this is written in with a glass nib, and glass nibs are not good for for showing shading, but this is a shading ink, believe it or not. So But yeah, that's the ink I chose. So let's take a look at how I'm going to be recording these. We're back in the Hobonichi Weeks Mega. It has tons and tons of blank pages in the back. Well, with the grid, but yeah, you know what I mean. Yes, so One Pen Mini Inks, March 2023. Pen, Faber-Castell Loom with a broad nib. So on March 1, we started with the Sheaffer Skrip Brown. I did kind of a fill-in of a box there to show a little more of the, when you get ink, overlapping ink, for lack of proper terminology, then more of your standard swatch, just a plain X, and then checking for wetness. It's a reasonably wet combination there. So I tested the dry time, 60 seconds, perfectly dry, 45 seconds, perfectly dry, 30 seconds, perfectly dry, and then 15 seconds, it was getting there. So somewhere between 15 and 30 seconds, completely dry. That's incredible. Here we have more of a writing sample, and here you can totally see the shading. And one thing that was throwing me off in my initial impression was the lighter portions of the brown. They do have that kind of almost pinkish cast to them. And yeah, I wasn't sure about that. But you know, it quickly grew on me because I love shading inks. So yeah. So here I recorded my initial impression. Excellent shading ink, dries fast, fairly wet, warm brown. And then after, today's the 4th, and I used it for the first 3 days of the month. So my final thoughts after 3 days. What a joy this combo has been. Smooth, reliable writing experience. Not my perfect brown, but the shading, I think that should be is. But the shading is wonderful. Well behaved too. Final grade A. So I'm going to be sort of borrowing Chris Saines's scoring system for this, grading the inks. And yeah, I ended up loving this so much. I was tempted to give it an A+, because yeah, just a wonderful, wonderful ink. Even on copy paper at work, very, very little feathering, very, very little bleed through. So I was kind of shocked, actually. So yeah, definitely recommend this ink. But I wanted to, rather than give it an A+, I wanted to leave room because I suspect there's something better. And honestly, this isn't quite my perfect brown. It's pretty darn close, but yeah. Yeah, so I was very, very pleased. And I'm gonna love this experiment. I was tempted to go longer with this ink. I could have gone longer because I was enjoying it so much. But at the same time, I wanna explore more inks. So I figured 3 days is a good dose of an ink. So I felt it was time to move on. So what are we moving on to? Something completely different. Blue. So this is Waterman Serenity Blue. And for some reason, probably because it was so cheap, I have 2 bottles of this, so I need to use it up. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to using this. A closer look at this one. The swatch card for it. This is showing up as a darkish blue. It looks to be on the dry side. a comparison here of the wetness. See, that's pretty wet. That's pretty dry. I do like this shade of blue, and it looks to have some sheen in there. So, well, maybe not sheen, but maybe a halo or something. There's something going on in there. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to using that. And of course, I already have it inked up in here. All right, so there you go. There's my initial testing of Waterman Serenity Blue in the Faber-Castell Loom. Yeah, I'll get to my initial impressions and my final thoughts in the next video for this series. Basically, whenever I change an ink, that's when I'll do the impressions. So maybe this will last 3 days, maybe not 3 days. We'll see. But yeah, there you go. Another fun project for me. I enjoyed February off, by the way. Just, you know, enjoying the pens I already had inked up and not worrying about any kind of challenge or anything like that. So, but yeah, now I'm excited to be exploring the Faber-Castell Loom as well as a variety of inks. In particular, I'm choosing inks I've either never used before or it's been a very long time. So this one I'm pretty sure I've used before, but it's been a very long time. The Sheaffer Skrip Brown I had never used before. So yeah, anyway, there you go. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.